At the start of this video, you've got to ask yourself, do you love tools? Because if you do, you're in the right place. Me, I love modern tools, I love really old tools, and I like something somewhere in the middle. But tools are expensive and I like a gamble. And so when I saw this picture come up with all those old tools in boxes, I thought I'd give it a shot. The bid was at £5, so I bid 10, but I set a reserve at 70. And so I got an email last night saying you won at £70. And what I've got is 3 boxes of filthy old tools. Now to most people this might be a problem. To me, this means that there's a good day ahead. But so that you don't get bored, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rattle through each box, I'm going to show you the highlights, and then afterwards I'm going to take a day to clean up the best of the tools, check out their value, do a little bit of research, test them, and then show you the end results. And for those of you out there that are super knowledgeable on tools, give me some info on the stuff that I don't know about, which is pretty much most of it. Let's start small. This is box number 1, and this is how I saw it in the picture. And this, well, this is kind of what I bought it for. I'm going to get it wrong. It's a Stanley bullnose, it's a hand plane that I love. I've got one. The only reason I was happy to see this is because I know that it holds a little bit of value. And I haven't told you how much I spent on this entire lot, so let's start with that. Not only did I bid 70 on it, but because of fees and everything, I spent £92. But this kind of gave me confidence that I could get at least £20 of it back. And I thought, with a box, I didn't look too deeply, with a box, that's good. Then I got a real surprise. This is not the box for that. This is another tool entirely. It's got all of the parts, and on top of that, it's got a full case of irons. And I'm really excited about this, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. This is my original one. I paid £25 to £27, I forget how much. It comes with all the same parts. The difference is, mine only came with half the irons this has. I mean, that in itself is very exciting. Although I suppose, if you were being mean, you could say guy walks into a shop and buys 2 items that he's already got. That's another way of looking at it. So let's get into the other boxes. So this is the smaller of the 2 boxes, but it is ram-packed with tools, and I've only really seen the saw handle, and that's really all I was looking for, because I've got loads of old saws and none of them have got good teeth. So let's see what we've got. An old wooden plane minus irons. It's not an exciting start. Oh, wooden spoke shave, a little bit of damage. Let's have a spoke shave pile. There's always spoke shaves in these things. Measuring, marking, pointy thing. Chisel. We'll have a chisel pile with pointy things. I know there's going to be a lot of technical jargon like pointy things, but don't worry, if you miss anything coming out of the box, I'm going to show you the highlights. Now this did catch my eye. This is a Stanley number 80. No expert, but this is basically the handheld tool card scraper, if you like. So you've got your scraper in there. That's a really nice addition. So I guess that goes in as what I would call a grade A tool. That's going straight into the collection and into the rotation of things I'm actually going to use. Curved card scraper of sorts. Oh, another one. All right, we've got 3 saws. We've got a brass back tenon saw. Oh, that's comfy. I need to find what that says. There's only one way of finding out what something says, in my opinion. Get a picture of it and then zoom in a bit further. Another brass backed saw. That's got a mark on the blade. SJ. Oh, lovely. Sanderson Kaiser. Maybe a dovetail saw or a little tenon saw. That, I didn't spot that. I love it. That's a grade A into the rotation tool. It's still got some serious weight to it, but that's basically looks like it's been polished. Future Mark stepping in just for 1 second. That saw that looks polished, I don't think it's a saw that's going to be used for sawing. I'll explain a bit as we go on. Another card scraper of sorts. 1 brace. Oh my gosh, look at the age on that. Look at this. A Stanley 71 router plane. Another moment of excitement. This is another cracking little find. Another brace. That's the dovetail saw. Foldable ruler. I get the feeling that this is someone's entire work in a box, or the first box anyway. Okay, 1, Wow. Smallest chisel I've ever seen with a beveled edge on it. These, if this woodworker started with these at full length, I can't imagine the amount of use they've had. And they've taken the time to grind a concave bevel on it so that when you sharpen it, you only sharpen the toe, and you, as part of the leaning process, you sharpen the top as well. It's supposed to make it easier to sharpen. Box 1 feels good. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to bring out the results of a couple of things that I found, for those of you that think he's done well or he's done badly. I don't know quite yet, but I'm quite excited. We're halfway through the search process. It's going pretty well. If you're enjoying the video, please click the like, click the subscribe. And trust me when I say this, these tools may look grubby now, but I promise you, some of these came up really nicely once I'd cleaned them up. I'll give you this one as a sneak peek. That's how nicely the Kaiser Sanderson pack saw came up. I've got to say, after box 1, I was feeling pretty good. But let's see what's in box 2. It's box 3, isn't it? Yeah, let's see what's in box 3. I can tell from this that there's going to be some wooden hand planes in it. That's the only information I had. But the first thing I pull out is this saw, which I genuinely thought was one of the larger rip saws, but that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Another spoke shave. Anybody keeping count? This one is for the inside of a curve, maybe a barrel. That's a draw knife, and another grade A tool that's going straight into the rotation. Cornelius Whitehouse & Sons Canuck. Really old draw knife. A third draw knife. Atkin & Sons, maybe? They've packed so much stuff in here. I had no idea. 2 more old spoke shaves. Right, I can't get to the rest without looking at this bad boy. Oh, goodness me. We'll have a closer look at that shortly. Another one, very old, no iron. Oh, another one. Whoever this was had a Tormac or something, because he's got another beveled edge on that. Beautiful iron. 1, 2, 3 more spoke shaves. Lovely old gouge. Look, a mortising chisel. There's a Marple's coffin plane. Okay, the rest of these are all these older shaping planes, which, to be honest with you, this is just me. I tend to pack these back up and send them on to the next person because I don't tend to use them. But look at this. An entire set of irons, all lovingly cared for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the Atkin & Sons. Okay, 3 sharp shaping planes. Gosh. So many wooden... Gosh, look at that. They've actually put a kind of adjustable fence on that. I don't know if I'm as excited about this one as I was the first, because the first one has got far more usable tools. Love the draw knives, and I really like this monster wooden plane. The rest of these, I normally pass these on, although some of these with the movable fences are a little more exciting, because look, you've got a small iron to edge with, I guess, or to stop tear out on the edge. Let's take some photos, do some research. Now, before I show you how those tools came out and what I found out about them, let me take a minute of your time to tell you about this week's sponsor. I feel really lucky so far. I've managed to build out all of my tools by doing things exactly like this. And tools are a vital part of learning, as are books. But I know that when I want to really learn a skill, seeing it in action is the best way. And that's where this week's sponsor comes in, Woodworkers Guild of America. Let's get straight to the deal first off. The first 1,000 of you that click on the link below in the description will get a year's premium membership to their site for $1.49. Now, I confess, I'm a woodworker, I'm no salesman. But if you just take a look on their site, you'll agree that that's a good deal. Because once you're on there, you can stream thousands of high quality videos. That includes projects, articles, and tutorials on the skills that you and me want to learn. Me? I'm going to take a deep dive on the table saw videos. It's well sectioned out and it is so easy to browse until you can find exactly what it is you're looking for. And it's not just your basic skills of woodworking. Some of these are very complex high-level skills, while others are incredibly beginner friendly. So if, like me, you want to see it actually be done and be told how to do it, this is the place. So remember, the first 1,000 of you to click on this link down below will get the premium annual membership for just $1.49. Now, let's get back to the tools. Now, I can't lie. Yesterday afternoon, after unboxing these tools, I had the most fun afternoon I've had in a long time. And that was probably worth the money that I spent on the tools in the first place. What you see on the table in front of me now are the highlights. They're the grade A tools. They're the ones that are either going to go into my collection or I think are interesting enough to do up and see if there's any value in them. But obviously a huge amount of their value is held in how they perform. So that is a fun test that we're going to have to run too. I want to reiterate what I said at the start. These gambles that I do at the auctions, if you want to call them that, they're not really about making a monetary profit, but I have had a look at some of these tools just to see what they would sell for if I decided to part with them. And I know it's a rough figure that I've just seen across eBay and a couple of other sites, but the first thing that was apparent as I was looking through this collection was that this was a professional woodworker's, carpenter you might say, or a joiner. It was their entire livelihood in 2 boxes. So first up, the draw knives. Now the draw knives are actually a brilliant time to tell you how I've gone about restoring some of these tools. They've had a wash through with soapy water, a thorough drying, and then anything with wood has been waxed, any surface rust has just been taken off with a Scotch pad, and then everything's been oiled to stop the rust returning. This isn't always the way that I do it, but in this case, these were in such good condition I didn't need to do a huge amount more. I think this one is an older one, a kind of middle ground here with an Atkins & Sons one. And then I've got a Cornelius Whitehouse & Sons draw knife, which looks to me to be a bit more modern. If we're looking for a value on these, the older ones look like they go for about £40 each and the newer one looks like it's around about £50. But let's see if in the condition they're in now, they actually do a job. That is absolutely... I don't know how to use a draw knife, but that was stunning. With my level of skill, I'm really just using these to make kindling, but those are in good enough condition that I don't need to do much to them to get them to do a stunning job. The one I think is probably used the most. Wow. And then we get onto the saws. And there was a few little surprises in here that I mentioned earlier. There's 4 saws in all of which have different ages and different qualities. They're all brass backed and, well, they're all, as I expected from all the other tools, they're in stunning condition. This one is a Spear & Jackson. There's 2 in here that I'm not 100% sure of. One is small enough to do nice dovetails. The other one is a slightly smaller version than the Spear & Jackson. And then there's this. This one I have heard a lot about. This is a Samson Kaiser Pax. This is so comfortable. I don't know any value to these, but if you see something that I've missed that you think is worth something that I'm not putting on it, maybe there's a saw in here that you know a bit more of the history to that I've mentioned here, please pop it in the comments because I tend to learn more in the comments than anywhere else. But this is the saw that actually intrigued me the most. I don't think this was actually bought to do a job. I believe this was actually a commemorative saw, either commissioned for someone or actually given to them as a thank you by the tool supplier, because it's made by Gregory Fenton, but it says made for DBC by Gregory Fenton Limited. Now, I couldn't find out who DBC was. If you have any information on this, if this means something to somebody, I would love to hear. I know it's a long shot. This seems as good a time as any to check out some of the saws. Let's try the Pax. The little dovetail saw. The teeth could probably use a bit of love on this, but not sure of the make on this one. It does a really nice cut. Let's try the bigger Spear & Jackson. That one is absolutely flawless. Now, none of this means that I'm going to be starting to throw away my Japanese saws. What it does mean is this may be the last outing for the cheap DIY store saw. Say that fast. These 2 stunners I took extra care in bringing back to life. Again though, all they needed was a clean and a polish. These are 2 very good examples of what I like to clean off and what I don't like to clean off. I don't like taking the metal back to a perfect shine. I like leaving a little bit of the character on it while just cleaning it up. This is another one from Atkins & Sons, similar to the draw knife that I found. Whereas this one was a lot harder to find a maker's name on. There is a faint inscription on it. I think I can just make out it's a Thomas Turner from Sheffield. This one I love because of the threaded bars and the knobs that go up and down them. It's so tactile. You've actually got a lovely thumb screw in brass that brings up and down the height adjustment plate. But the biggest bonus with one of these, whichever one I decided to package up and sell, if I did, is that you have a full set, missing none, a full set of Atkins & Sons irons. Each one has got a different width depending on the number, 1 through to 7. Value-wise, whichever one you put the irons with is going to be worth between 30 and 100, and then the one without is probably only worth about 30 quid. To be honest with you, if I never get round to actually learning how to use one of these, it'll probably end up in my house, adorning a shelf somewhere, looking, well, lovely. Now, with 0 setup time, let's just see if I can get anything out of the router plane. Now, I'm going to be honest with you there, I've got no idea what I'm doing with that, and it actually took me about 15 minutes to set it up for that cut, so, you know, read into that as you will. Next up, we've got 2 of the rebate planes. This one is a Varville & Sons and is much nicer, more ornate, and it's a little bit more modern than this one, which I think is Griffiths from Norwich. I haven't done a huge amount of research, but everything on this is a little bit older, still in good condition. It doesn't have the iron with it, and it doesn't have the depth stop, which would basically be the equivalent of this brass piece here and the thumb screw. This rebate plane, if that is exactly what it is, not only has the adjusted fence here with the 3 screws, but also it has this depth stop which comes down and has an area in it that's been milled away, because not only does it have the main iron, which is in great condition, but it also has this tiny sharp point of an iron. So if you're going across the grain, you lower down the front one and it breaks through the fibres to reduce any tear out, and it goes perfectly along the edge of the plane. It's just beautiful. Before I show you the other tools, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the ones that I'm going to use. I'm going to display and possibly sell a couple of the nicer ones that I'm not going to use, and then everything that I don't want, I'll just put in a box with other auction lots that I've bought, and I'll put it back in the auction for someone else to pick through and have a gamble at, and they will love the things that I haven't seen value in. Now, the 3 Stanleys that we got, I consider myself to be incredibly lucky with, because I've been looking for a router plane for a significant amount of time. And when I say looking for one, I didn't want to buy a new one. I wanted something with a bit of character, albeit a little bit harder to use. I'm going to put that straight into my work. Stanley number 80. This is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this is basically the equivalent of a card scraper. Now, all I've done is clean off the rust and give it a bit of an oil so that it wouldn't gain any more rust, but it's in great condition. And then this beauty. It's got multiple uses, and I doubt it's going to work in the condition we've got it. I'll give it a test to see if the iron works. As I say, I do have one, but this one has some of the parts my other one's missing, and the mechanism that moves the iron up and down, which is just underneath it, is a lever here. On this one, it's perfect. On my other one, it's very, very stiff. So this will directly replace one that I've had a lot of use out of, but it's going to do a better job. Value-wise, the Stanley number 71, you're looking at around £100. Stanley number 80, 40 to £50. And a Stanley number 78, probably another £50 too, depending on condition, obviously. A rebate we have means we can now test this. Fortunately, we haven't got enough of the reference surface on both sides, but there's nothing wrong with that except for me. I don't think this is the way you would usually use a 78, but that one just goes to prove my point. These are all in workable condition. Unbelievable. Last one. What I'm going to say next has left me a little bit surprised. The fact that I can even say it. Out of all of these tools, there was only one that I couldn't test. And that is just testament to how the craftsmen that had these tools before me cared for them and looked after them. This is the only tool that was missing something. According to Paul Sellers, whose videos really are the guide for hand tools for anybody starting out, you set it up so that the iron itself is level with the base, and then you have a screw in the back, and when you tighten that screw, it bends the scraper ever so slightly, making it protrude from the bottom, and then the hook does what a cabinet scraper would do, or a card scraper. Doesn't have that screw. I nearly gave up, and then I found this. This is a T-track screw from a set that I bought that doesn't fit anything. And when you insert it into the back of the number 80, it does a job. So instead of me having to search out a screw, I just need to make a little handle for the back of it. And then I can test it. But let's be honest, like all the other ones, it's gonna work. Well, when I figure out how to use it, it's gonna work. There's a video on the channel where I showed doing up a wooden jack plane. It's not difficult, and I shocked myself when I did it because it was so pleasant to use. I got a jack plane and I got this larger jointing plane as well. This one is in beautiful nick. It just needed a clean up and a wax, and I did nothing to the iron more than scrape a bit of rust off. I'm gonna give it a test with a few of the other ones, and I'm confident that it's going to do a lovely job. And this stays with me. This is one of the guaranteed stays with me pieces in this, because I don't think I'm going to find one of equal quality, and Marples and Sons is a great name. I know it's been looked after. And I know this isn't asking it to do the job it should do, same as with the last one, but I'm curious to see if this will actually do a job. Tiny bit of fine tuning. By that, I just mean bashing around until it gets to the right level. If you are lucky enough to see one of these, either in an antique shop or in an auction or a car boot sale, I urge you, so long as it's within budget, buy it, because there is a feel to something like this that you don't get with a metal soled plane. I really can't explain it, but I guarantee if you try it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, I know today I was incredibly lucky to get a set of tools that somebody used to make a living from. They're in excellent condition, they're looked after, and they're a set. It makes me really sad to think that I'm going to have to part with some of them, but at the end of the day, these tools need to go to other people who will use them. At least 50% of the tools that I've got within my workshop have been bought from auction lots, but I've found I do have to be disciplined. The ones you don't want, don't let them collect dust in your shed. Take what you need, pop the rest back in a box, put it back in the auctions, let the next person have a look through. If you've got any knowledge to put in for some of the tools that I've found, or if you think there's some dusty ones I've overlooked that are worth a second look, pop it in the comments. It's the second one of these that I've done. The first one had some gems in it too, and it's right there. If you're new to the channel and you're just getting stuck in, take a look at that one. Thanks a lot for your time. I'll see you over there.